My name is Ryan Diamisi. I work at Christian Wealth Management as a wealth advisor. My goal is for my clients to use their money as a tool to build their faith. So today I wanted to think about margin and the importance of it and some ideas on how you might be able to create more of it in your finances. So the first thing, what does margin mean? As we'll think about today, it's just simply going to be what are your expenses and what's your income, and what's the difference between your baseline expenses and your income. Why I think creating margin is important is because margin is how we see progress on the goals that we care about. If you do a simple Google search around finances and emotions, you'll be able to discover that our finances are very emotional. We can think about Warren Buffett. His common expression is to be fearful when people are greedy and to be greedy when people are fearful. And we can think about when the market is rising, like if it's shooting up like a firework, that's the time to be the most concerned. But oftentimes our emotions saying, it's going to keep going up. We should throw more money in the market. But if we look at what most likely happens as things are skyrocketing, they often have more opportunity to crash. And emotionally, what happens when things are crashing, there's fear. And there's the fear that you'll lose everything that you've worked hard for. So most of the time as things are dropping, people sell. So Warren Buffett's be fearful when people are greedy and be greedy when people are fearful is communicating that we are emotional people, and we do tend to make decisions, financial decisions, based off of an underlying emotion that's happening. And Warren Buffett's encouragement is to just think about, the emotions that we're experiencing while we're making decisions, especially in the stock market. I believe that our emotions are an untapped energy source. And what I mean by that is that I don't think most people are giving thorough, holistic view of how their emotions may be able to help them make progress in their financial life. And when we see progress on something that we deem as important, that has been proven to be the most effective way to provide motivation. Like Ryan will be the most motivation, you the listener will have the most motivation if we're seeing progress on the things that I've defined or the things that you've defined as important to you. So my argument right now is for us to think through how can we leverage our emotions to empower us to continue to make progress. We have to have defined goals and we have to have margin in our budget to see progress on their goals if we're going to run the marathon that is financial planning. We need to have goals and we need to have margin to create those goals. So again, I mentioned margin is your income versus your expenses. What's the difference? So the first thing to think about as you analyze maybe your budget is your income. And our income is often, for most people, is coming from 40 hours a week that we're working at a job. So the first thing to think through is, do we enjoy the 40 hours a week that we're putting into our jobs? Now, I'm not saying you have to love every minute of it, but I do think you need to be bought in to that the work that you're doing is meaningful. Now, over the long haul of your life, not minutes, but decades, that in order for you to run the race well, that is financial planning, it needs to start with having a job that you think provides value to other people. I do have a job that I feel like helps other people. I am not an expert in helping other people get to those jobs. But Ken Coleman, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why Ken Coleman's face is on this book. All the Dave Ramsey books have his face on them. So that might be a comment that you guys can all email Dave Ramsey and say, why is Ken Coleman's face not on the book? It would make it easier for us to want to decide to buy it and read it. But Ken Coleman has this book called Find the Work You're Wired to Do. And the title of it is exactly what I'm hitting at, which is find a job that is true to yourself and you think is providing value to other people. So that's the first thing, to critically analyze and ask God, are you doing work that He's asked you to do? The next thing to think through within your budget is analyzing your needs. So we've got our income and then we've got our expenses, which is going to be made up of our needs and our wants. So the 4 basic needs we all have: shelter, clothing, food, and transportation. You could spend close to nothing on those 4 things, or you could make 90% of your budget be those 4 categories. But it is important to know these are the baseline needs that everybody has. We need a place to sleep. We need to eat so we can stay alive. We need clothes so we don't get arrested. And we need transportation so we could get to the job or run away from the cops if we don't have clothes. Thinking through that as you review a budget monthly and just making sure you're getting the most out of the money that you're making would serve you well long term, and making sure you can get some margin as time goes on. The next thing is analyzing your wants. And your wants is everything that's outside of those 4 categories. So some examples that I was thinking through was, while I need to go get exercise regularly for having good health long term, I don't need a gym membership. I don't need a rock climbing membership. Those things I enjoy doing. I like going to the gym. I like rock climbing. And so that's a want for me, and we have that in the budget. Some other ideas are subscriptions to movie services, Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. I mean, there's got to be like 1,000 different membership subscriptions you can get. That would be a want. The internet in your household, that would be a want. Unless you work from home, having the internet at your home is in most cases a want. So those are just some ideas of, as you're thinking through your budget and reflecting. Budgeting is a marathon. If you do it every month, if you're going to live for 20 more years, if you do it every month, you get in, how many reps is that? 12 months in a year over 20 years. 240 times you're going to practice doing a monthly budget if you live 20 years and you do it every month. Some people are going to live longer than that. So the point is that you will get better as time goes on. No one shows up to the gym and thinks that all the fat's going to be removed off their body right away. It's over a long period of time doing a bunch of reps. So I would offer that as a suggestion for you to think through. How are you making money? Do you find pride in that? Is there opportunity for you to grow and increase that? I also think that's important to you, seeing the value in what you're doing. Assessing your needs, thinking critically, are we spending too much on our housing? Is that too big of a percentage of our budget? Dave Ramsey recommends 25% or less. That's something to think through. Are we spending too much on transportation? Those 2 areas seem to have overkill in a lot of budgets. But we could think through our needs: housing, transportation, food, clothing. And then we could think through our wants, which it could be a boat, an RV, pets, you name it. Just things that aren't necessities in life. And every month, if we reflect on them, I bet that you will make pivots that will improve what you want to get out of life. A verse I want to think through and offer for your suggestion that our emotions are an important piece to life is Psalm 16:11. And it says, "In the presence of the Lord there's fullness of joy, and in His right hand there's pleasures forever." Joy and pleasure. That's a promise that God offers, that in His presence there's fullness of joy, and in His right hand there's pleasures forever. Sign me up to be with God. It sounds like a great deal. I definitely like joy and I like pleasure. And so may I offer, in our pursuit to manage finances well, that also our emotions should get redeemed. And we should find joy and pleasure of being stewards of what the Lord's trusted with us. So hopefully this video has inspired you to just rethink money and how it can be used to rebuild your faith. If there is one thing you can take away from this video, please put it in the comment below. We would love to review like how it's impacting people. If you have any suggestions on books that we could put there, great. I'm not sure if you can see the basketball player. If there's any bobblehead suggestions too, we're open to it. We have a fake plant because I just don't want to water it. So if you know a good service that will water plants remotely, that's not a good word. Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening to this content, and any feedback you give us will be cherished.